one can better understand what Plato might have been alluding to when he spoke of admixture of the Atlanteans, which altered their civilization and degraded it into something more violent and, in his words, visibly debased. Of course, this genetic hybridization is mirrored in the passages of the Bible, such as Genesis, and similar works, such as the Book of Enoch, where it says that, quote, "And it came to pass, when the sons of men had increased, that in those days they were born to them fair and beautiful daughters, and the angels, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, Come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the children of men, and let us beget for ourselves children." In modern times, many people have equated these ancient myths and biblical stories to scenarios that one might hear in the UFO community, where interactions between people from space and people on Earth also result in hybrid offspring. One example of this theory was put forth in 1958 by alleged UFO contactee George Van Tassel, who worked for Douglas Aircraft, Hughes Aircraft, and Lockheed.
The story of the spaceships and the people who operate them is not anything new. Some of the people in this country and around the world are trying to open their minds to the point where they could accept possibly that somebody somewhere on another planet is intelligent enough to fly here and observe us super beings. This isn't actually the case at all. These people originally colonized this planet. Their ancestors and ours are the same people way back in history. The people in these craft coming here are the same people that our Bible is written about. They're called angels to us by the church, simply because we don't understand what angels are. Now, the story of Adam, which has been misunderstood, Darwin tried to tie us up with the apes and couldn't find the missing link. Adam was a colony landed on this planet by the ancestors of these people coming here today. That's where we got the name Adam in the Bible, because these people are of the tribe of Adam. The Adamic people landed here, and very much as we would do on a planet that was practically uninhabitable, if we landed on a strange planet, we would send a crew of men up there to kind of knock off the rough corners before we took our women along. And that's exactly what they did. And it tells you that in the Bible, too. It tells you they were lonesome. They had no helpmate. It says they in the plural, too. It doesn't say he. And Adam is referred to as them in the plural many times. These true race of man, that's what they are. We are humans and they are man. There's a difference. Man was given dominion over all things, not humans. The true race of man in the colonization of this planet found here an upright, beautiful creature. The Bible says these creatures were upright and beautiful. That's the thing that Darwin tried to tie us together with when he tried to have us evolve from an ape. It never happened that way. The missing link that Darwin couldn't find was breeding. It was during the course of the time the Adamic man was on this planet that he didn't have his helpmate, that he found he could mate with these upright animals. And the crossbreed descendants of that original sin, or crossing of species, is the human race. We today are descendants of that original sin. We're not responsible for it, but that's what it was. That has never been properly explained. These people's explanation of it is the best of my knowledge that I've ever heard. Now, it stands to reason that if Eve, which they say was a race of these upright creatures, both male and female, there weren't just the women, there were men and women of this upright creature, but they weren't of the race of man. These people explained it in that way. They said the race of Eve were these upright creatures, and the race of Adamic man were the colony they landed here. Now, you can understand the misunderstanding of religion today simply because the interpretation of religion hasn't been authentic. The people who have interpreted it and administered have not understood it themselves. Now, further on, this went on all through the Bible, different people landing, messengers, Lot talked to them. Many cases it tells you about these people came, these angels came, and they entertained them overnight, took them into their house. They especially washed their feet, which seemed to be a symbol of honor among people then. Now, you don't wash the feet of spooks. They gotta be people, that's all there is to it. You can't wash the feet of a spirit or a spook or ectoplasm or protoplasm or any other kind of plasm. The feet they washed were people's feet, just like us. And it tells you this further in the Bible, that these angels are people. Because it tells you not to lock your doors at night. You may entertain angels unawares. Now, an angel must look like us if we would entertain someone unawares. Certainly, if an angel looked any different than our people here, we would know the difference. We wouldn't entertain them unawares. All through the records of the Old Testament and the New Testament is given this evidence that these were people. Now, you can understand back in those days when the Bible was written, when the average person didn't even own a donkey, and a chariot was the highest form of mechanized transportation they had, and that royalty rode on a white horse, that if people came out of the sky and got out of a ship and walked among them and looked like them, that the only way they could separate those people from the people who lived on the ground was to designate them symbolically in some way, which they did. They are around this planet in great numbers. They have always been here. They've always had ships around the planet observing things. Naturally, you can see why they didn't want to mix with us, because this is a sick planet. We are the descendants of a mistake their forefathers made in violation of the law. Therefore, they look upon us as their responsibility. And that's primarily why they're around the planet. They know we are the only planet occupied in this solar system that are not capable of taking care of ourselves in this crisis that's coming.
Whether there's any truth to this interpretation of the fallen angels is still speculation. But what is no longer speculation is that humanity is a hybrid species, which has been established by genetic research, and should be obvious by the facts that there are still anomalies that occur during the hybridization process. The most obvious example being when the body of an Rh-negative mother tries to reject her own baby if it's Rh positive, as an allergic reaction, recognizing it as foreign to herself, which in modern times is easily taken care of through the use of a shot, but still speaks to the reality that this incompatibility is a result of hybridization, and that we are descended from different hominin species.